Right now, as you're watching this video, ICE agents are carrying out the largest crackdown on Asian immigrants in modern American history. Between January and October of 2025, ICE arrested 7,752 people from Asian and Pacific Islander countries. That is nearly 4 times higher than the same period under Biden, when the number was 1,198. And among those 7,752, the overwhelming majority, 7,069, were detained and 2,631 were deported. But here is the part that should genuinely alarm you. 69% of the people arrested at immigration appointments had zero criminal records. None. They showed up for their interviews, did everything by the book, and walked out in handcuffs. Today, I'm going to break down the 7 Asian countries that the Trump administration appears to be targeting most aggressively for deportation enforcement in 2026. And more importantly, what you and your family need to do right now to protect yourselves. Stay with me, because country number 6 is the one almost nobody is talking about. Welcome back to USA Move Guide. If you are new here, this channel gives you the real facts on immigration policy. No fear-mongering, no sugarcoating, just what you need to know to protect your future. If you find this video helpful, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button, tap the bell icon for notifications, and share this video with someone you love. It could genuinely change their life. Let's get into it. Country number 1, Bangladesh. If you are a Bangladeshi national living in the United States, the ground has shifted underneath you in a very dramatic way over the past few months. Let me explain exactly what happened. On January 6, 2026, the Trump administration added Bangladesh to the visa bond list. This means that any Bangladeshi citizen applying for a B1 or B2 visitor visa to the United States may now be required to pay a bond of up to $15,000 before they even board the plane. The stated justification is overstay rates. According to the DHS fiscal year 2024 entry-exit overstay report, Bangladesh had a B1-B2 overstay rate of approximately 5.73%, which represents more than 2,200 individual overstays. But the enforcement did not stop at the bond. On January 21, 2026, the Department of State paused all immigrant visa issuances for nationals of 75 countries, and Bangladesh was on that list. That means family-sponsored visas, diversity visas, and employment-based immigrant visas all frozen. If you had an interview scheduled at the U.S. Embassy in Dhaka, it was canceled or indefinitely postponed. Now, why is Bangladesh specifically being targeted for deportation enforcement? 3 reasons. First, the overstay numbers give the administration a data point they can use publicly. Second, Bangladesh falls under the expanded vetting framework that USCIS announced on March 30, 2026, which adds mandatory social media screening, financial history review, and consular background checks. Third, and this is crucial, Bangladesh is one of the countries where unauthorized employment is a growing concern. Many Bangladeshi nationals entered on student visas or visitor visas and are working without authorization. And the administration is using workplace audits and I-9 inspections to identify and detain those individuals. If you are Bangladeshi and you have any type of immigration case pending, here's what you need to do immediately. Number 1, file a Freedom of Information Act request for your complete immigration file. You need to see exactly what USCIS has on you before they use it against you. Number 2, hire an immigration attorney. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Number 3, do not attend any USCIS appointment without your attorney physically present. The era of going alone with your documents and hoping for the best is over. Country number 2, Nepal. Nepal is in an extremely difficult position right now, and most Nepali families in America do not fully understand how much danger they are in. In the summer of 2025, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem announced the termination of temporary protected status for Nepal. TPS had been in place for years, protecting thousands of Nepali nationals who could not safely return home due to the devastating earthquakes and ongoing instability. That protection officially ended on August 5, 2025. Now, a courageous group of immigrants fought back. A federal judge in the Northern District of California issued an order attempting to block the termination, but on February 9, 2026, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed that order, allowing the government to proceed with termination while the appeal continues. So right now, as of April 2026, there is no active TPS protection for Nepali nationals. What does that mean in practical terms? It means that every Nepali person who was relying on TPS for their work authorization and protection from deportation is now exposed. Their employment authorization documents have expired or will expire. They cannot legally work, and they are now deportable. The numbers are significant. Thousands of Nepali families are affected, and many of these are mixed status families, meaning one parent might have TPS while the children are U.S. citizens. The administration has shown it is willing to separate these families. On top of the TPS termination, Nepal is also on the 75-country immigrant visa pause list. So if you are hoping to bring a family member over from Nepal to a family-sponsored petition, that process is frozen. If you are Nepali and your TPS has ended, you need to explore every possible alternative pathway. Talk to your attorney about asylum, about adjustment of status if you have a qualifying U.S. citizen spouse or child, about U visas if you've been a victim of crime. Do not wait. Every day you wait is a day closer to a knock on your door. Country number 3, Myanmar, also known as Burma. Myanmar represents one of the most heartbreaking stories in American immigration policy right now. This is a country that has been in a state of civil war since the military coup of February 2021. The Tatmadaw, the military junta, has carried out airstrikes against civilians, mass displacement, and systematic human rights violations. By every objective measure, Myanmar is one of the most dangerous countries on earth for returning deportees. And yet, on November 25, 2025, DHS announced the termination of TPS for Burma, effective January 26, 2026. Nearly 4,000 Burmese nationals living in the United States were suddenly stripped of their protection. A federal court in the Northern District of California did step in. On January 23, 2026, just 3 days before the termination was set to take effect, the court issued a temporary order. But this legal battle is far from settled. The government has appealed, and as of the latest updates in March 2026, the situation remains in limbo. USCIS has issued guidance that the TPS designation and related benefits have terminated, and individuals should check for updated court orders. Here's what makes Myanmar different from every other country on this list. This is not about overstays. This is not about unauthorized employment. The vast majority of Burmese TPS holders entered the United States through legitimate refugee and humanitarian pathways. Many are Karen, Chin, Rohingya, and other ethnic minorities who face persecution. Sending them back is not just a legal issue, it is a human rights crisis. If you are a Burmese national, you must stay in contact with organizations like the International Refugee Assistance Project and the Asian Law Caucus. You need to understand your options, which may include refiling for asylum based on changed country conditions, petitioning for withholding of removal, or applying for protection under the Convention Against Torture. Do not assume that because a court issued a temporary order, you are safe. The legal landscape can change overnight. Country number 4, Cambodia. The Cambodia story is one of the oldest and most painful chapters in Asian American immigration history, and it is about to get much worse. Here is the background. During the Khmer Rouge genocide and the wars that followed in the 1970s and 1980s, hundreds of thousands of Cambodians fled to the United States as refugees. Many came as children. They grew up in some of the most under-resourced communities in America, places like Long Beach, Lowell, Philadelphia, and the Bronx. Some of them, as teenagers or young adults, got caught up in the criminal justice system. They served their time. They paid their debt to society. But because they were not citizens, they received final orders of removal. For decades, those removal orders sat dormant. Cambodia had a repatriation agreement with the United States, but the country generally dragged its feet on accepting deportees. At any given time, there were more than 1,700 Cambodians with final removal orders living in the United States, many of them for 15, 20, or even 25 years. That changed under Trump. The administration has aggressively pressured Cambodia to accept deportees, and it has begun executing those removal orders. In an absolutely shocking development, some Cambodians have been deported, not back to Cambodia, but to third countries. Just days ago, The Guardian reported on Peep Ram, one of 15 Cambodians sent to a prison in Eswatini, the small African kingdom formerly known as Swaziland. These individuals had completed their U.S. sentences years ago and had been living productive lives in the community. Congress has responded by introducing the Southeast Asian Deportation Relief Act of 2026, but with the current political dynamics, the bill faces an extremely difficult path to passage. If you are Cambodian with a final removal order, or if you know someone who is, you need to contact the Asian Law Caucus or CIRAC immediately. There is an active class action lawsuit challenging the deportation of Cambodians with old removal orders. You may be covered by this lawsuit, but only if you are in contact with legal counsel. Country number 5, Pakistan. Pakistan presents a unique and increasingly dangerous enforcement profile. While the headlines often focus on Latin American and East Asian deportation, the crackdown on Pakistani nationals has been accelerating quietly and aggressively. Let me give you the data. Pakistan's B1-B2 visa overstay rate stands at approximately 7.36% according to DHS reporting, which is above the non-visa waiver program average. The administration has used this figure to justify heightened scrutiny, and there are active discussions about adding Pakistan to the visa bond list, but the enforcement is not limited to overstays. In September 2025, DHS publicly highlighted the arrest of Mohammad Zahid Chaudhry, a Pakistani national who was picked up in coordination between ICE and USCIS during a routine appointment in Tukwila, Washington. The government used his case as a public example of what they described as arresting the worst of the worst. But the case sent a chilling message to every Pakistani who has a pending USCIS appointment. Pakistan is also on the 75-country immigrant visa pause list, which means family-based immigration from Pakistan to the United States is effectively frozen as of January 2026. Thousands of Pakistani families who have been waiting years, some more than a decade, for their priority dates to become current, are now in a holding pattern with no end date in sight. Additionally, the expanded USCIS vetting framework specifically targets social media activity, and this is particularly relevant for Pakistani applicants. The administration has implemented what it calls Operation Paris, which involves enhanced background checks that include searching social media accounts, financial records, and even messaging app activity. For communities where WhatsApp is the primary means of communication, this creates an enormous exposure risk. If you are Pakistani, here is my advice. First, audit your entire social media footprint. Every Facebook post, every X tweet, every WhatsApp status, anything that could be taken out of context or used against you should be reviewed with your attorney. Second, if you have any lapsed status or unauthorized work history, consult with a lawyer before you file any new application. Any filing can trigger a review that uncovers old issues. Third, carry your emergency contact card at all times with your attorney's number, the ICE detainee hotline at 866-347-2423, and the ICE detainee locator at locator.ice.gov. Country number 6, Afghanistan. And this is the one that breaks my heart the most. Many Afghan nationals in the United States are not undocumented immigrants in the traditional sense. They are people who worked alongside American soldiers, diplomats, and intelligence officers during the 20-year war in Afghanistan. They served as translators, logistics coordinators, cultural advisors. They put their lives on the line for the United States. When the Taliban returned to power in August 2021, many of them were evacuated under Operation Allies Welcome and granted temporary protected status. On May 12, 2025, Secretary Mayorkas announced the termination of TPS for Afghanistan. The termination became effective on July 14, 2025. Just like that, thousands of Afghan allies lost their legal protection. Human Rights Watch called the decision unconscionable. The organization No One Left Behind, which advocates for Afghan wartime allies, warned that this puts the lives of our allies and their families in direct danger. Under Taliban rule, anyone who worked with the American government faces imprisonment, torture, and execution. And then came the rhetoric. After an Afghan immigrant was involved in a shooting incident in late 2025, President Trump went on what The Guardian described as a racist rampage, saying, "There's a lot of problems with Afghans," and publicly denouncing Somali people as garbage. This kind of language from the highest office in the land does not just hurt, it endangers. It emboldens ICE agents to be more aggressive. It poisons public opinion, and it makes it nearly impossible for Afghan families to feel safe anywhere in this country. As of April 2026, Afghan nationals have no TPS protection. The immigrant visa pause affects Afghanistan, and the country is on the expanded travel ban list under Presidential Proclamation 1949. The doors have been closed from every direction. If you are Afghan, you must explore asylum as your primary pathway. The conditions in Afghanistan under Taliban control provide one of the strongest asylum claims in the world right now. You need an experienced asylum attorney who understands the specific documentation standards for Afghan cases. Organizations like HIAS, the International Refugee Assistance Project, and No One Left Behind can help connect you with legal resources. Country number 7, China. China tops the list for the sheer volume of ICE arrests. According to Stop AAPI Hate's analysis of government data, Chinese nationals accounted for 26% of all Asian ICE arrests between January and October 2025, approximately 1,991 individual arrests. That is the highest of any Asian country, followed by India at 25%. But the enforcement against Chinese nationals has a completely different character than what we see with the other countries on this list. This is driven as much by geopolitics as it is by immigration policy. In January 2025, China signaled its willingness to repatriate confirmed Chinese nationals from the United States. Reuters reported that this came after Trump threatened tariffs and other economic penalties. DHS then conducted removal flights to China, building on a framework that began in late 2024, when the Biden administration repatriated more than 500 Chinese nationals and laid the groundwork for systematic deportation flights across the Pacific. Under the current administration, those flights have increased significantly. The Human Rights First ICE Flight Monitor reported that by February 2026, domestic shuttle flights between detention centers and deportation staging hubs averaged 42 per day, up from 39 in January. A significant portion of these feed into international removal flights, including to China. The enforcement against Chinese nationals also intersects with national security rhetoric. The administration has flagged concerns about espionage, technology theft, and what they describe as exploitation of the immigration system by operatives linked to Chinese government. While these concerns may have some legitimate basis in specific cases, the broad brush approach has resulted in thousands of ordinary Chinese families, restaurant workers, students, small business owners being swept up in the enforcement machine. China is also on the expanded travel ban under Proclamations 1949 and 1998, faces the 75-country immigrant visa pause, and is listed as a recalcitrant country by ICE, meaning the administration accuses China of not cooperating sufficiently on deportations. Even though China has publicly agreed to accept returnees, if you are a Chinese national in the United States, your risk profile is arguably the highest on this list. You need a comprehensive legal strategy that accounts for the national security overlay. Make sure your attorney understands not just immigration law, but also the political dimensions of Chinese-American relations. And above all, do not discuss your immigration case on WeChat, Weibo, or any platform that may be monitored. The expanded USCIS vetting now includes social media and messaging app reviews, and the political sensitivity around China makes any digital footprint potentially dangerous. Now, let me step back and give you the bigger picture, because this is not just about 7 countries. This is about a fundamental shift in how the United States treats immigrants from Asia. The Stop AAPI Hate report found that 53% of all Asian and Pacific Islander adults in the U.S., both citizens and non-citizens, said they or someone in their community has been affected by anti-immigrant policies or sentiment. 45% feel less safe in this country than they did before. 30% have experienced or feared arrest, detention, or deportation. And 28% have considered leaving the United States entirely. These numbers are staggering, and they are not limited to undocumented individuals. U.S. citizens, people born on American soil, are being told to go back where you came from, at restaurants, at parks, at their children's schools. This is what happens when enforcement becomes indiscriminate and rhetoric becomes dehumanizing. The administration has authorized ICE to operate at schools, hospitals, and houses of worship. They have expanded racial profiling with Supreme Court backing. They have opened detention capacity to a record 73,000 beds, and 2025 became the deadliest year in 2 decades of ICE history, with 41 people dying in custody, including 9 Asian immigrants. So, what can you do? Here is your 5-step protection plan, regardless of which country you are from. Step 1. Know your rights. You have the right to remain silent. You have the right to an attorney. If ICE approaches you, say this exact sentence. I'm exercising my right to remain silent, and I would like to speak with my attorney. Then, say nothing else. Step 2. Carry an emergency contact card at all times. On that card, write your attorney's name and phone number, the ICE detainee hotline, 866-347-2423, and the ICE detainee locator website, locator.ice.gov. If you are detained, your family can use these resources to find you. Step 3. File a FOIA request for your complete immigration file today. Go to uscis.gov and submit Form G639. You need to know exactly what is in your file before the government uses it against you. Step 4. Audit your social media. Every post, every photo, every comment. USCIS now reviews social media as part of its enhanced vetting under Operation Paris. Remove anything that could be misinterpreted. Political commentary, photos at protests, even jokes that could be taken out of context. Step 5. Do not attend any government appointment alone. Whether it is a green card interview, a check-in with your deportation officer, or even a routine biometrics appointment, bring your attorney. ICE agents have been stationed inside USCIS offices since November 2025, and 69% of people arrested at appointments had no criminal record. Here is what I want you to take away from this video. The enforcement climate for Asian immigrants in the United States in 2026 is the most hostile it has been in decades. Whether you are from Bangladesh, Nepal, Myanmar, Cambodia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, or China, or any other country, the rules have changed. The system that used to be slow and bureaucratic has become fast and punitive. But here is the other truth. Knowledge is your greatest weapon. The people who get caught off guard are the ones who did not prepare. Do not let that be you. Now, I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell me, which country are you from? And what is the biggest immigration challenge you are facing right now? Your question might become my next video. If you found this helpful, subscribe, share it with your family and friends, and join our WhatsApp alerts group for instant immigration updates. The link is in the description and in the pinned comment. I will see you in the next one. Protect yourself. Protect your family.